Rural labour markets present a prevalence of informal work arrangements, multiple job holding, labour force fragmentation, which lead to suboptimal levels of quality employment generation. Now, you might know what that means, but I don't. So I've done a bit of research and I've come up with some interesting conclusions. But I don't have much time, so hold on, here we go. Simply put, investing more in decent rural employment is crucial for achieving food security for all. Okay, that's a bit blunt, so let's go about this step by step. The objectives of the First Millennium Development Goal is to eradicate hunger and poverty in the world. However, 870 million people are chronically undernourished. 1.4 billion people still live in extreme poverty. 70% of these people live in rural areas, and it's FAO's mission to tackle this problem. It must be said that rural poverty is declining, and that's encouraging. But it's not enough. We aren't there yet. So, where do we go from here? Well, we focus on decent rural employment. And what is decent rural employment about? Well, it's not only about creating more jobs, it's also about creating better jobs, which means focusing on the quality aspects of work in rural areas.
A decent job ensures, for example, sufficient income for rural people to buy enough food and ensures safe and stable working conditions.
Okay, so I don't want to go into all the details, but decent work entails a fair contract for rural workers, that risk and health conditions at work are respected, that rural workers are protected in case of sickness, accident or maternity, and that rural workers can associate in order to defend their rights. So, all nice and fine, but how does decent rural employment contribute to the double goal of reducing rural poverty and achieving food security? When a country promotes better jobs and a fair income for its rural population, it creates a positive spiral.
Secure working conditions and a fair income generates enough money for food. Parents can invest in better nutrition, which generates better health. More productivity in the field. The parents can take the children out of the fields and back into school, which improves their education, which now generates more productivity and more income for future generations.
Now, if you're a government official, I can hear you from here. Nice idea, but not easy to implement. And where do I start? Well, this is where FAO's experts on decent rural employment come in. How can this team of experts help? Well, the team produces relevant knowledge about decent rural employment. But we all know that information alone isn't enough to promote change. This is why FAO conducts specific initiatives such as youth employment and child labour field projects, which provide governments and institutions with live showcases on how innovative approaches work on the ground. In a nutshell, FAO's philosophy is translating knowledge into action and action into knowledge. And that's not all. FAO can rely on its vast technical expertise in agriculture, rural areas and the informal economy. It enjoys long-standing relations with rural stakeholders. It can rely on an extended network of country offices. And last but not least, FAO can count on close relations with other UN agencies, such as the ILO, to help promote decent rural employment. So, as you can see, knowledge, field experience and collaboration enable FAO to provide effective and country-specific policy advice and capacity development for its member states. I'm running out of time, so let's conclude. Rural labour markets present a prevalence of informal work arrangements, multiple job holdings, labour force fragmentation, which lead to suboptimal levels of quality employment generation. Now, this sentence still doesn't make sense to me, but collaborating with FAO certainly does.